Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for jumping on. Sorry we're starting a little late here. Just trying to get the tech figured out. We wanted to do this virtually just mainly because we wanted everybody to be able to attend and watch it later. Sometimes we kind of feel like with the tryout meetings or the pre-tryout meetings, sometimes people come to the meeting, sometimes they don't, and then information gets miscommunicated based on what they hear later. So we just figured this would be the easiest way to get out to as many people as possible. Thank you to those of you who sent in questions ahead of time. Obviously, if you have any questions as we're going, you can put them in the question section, and we will try to get through as many as we can. So, agenda for today. I know for most people, you've been in the Kachinas program before, you're familiar with who we are, but we do have a couple new people who have either recently moved here or haven't been in our program before. So we are going to walk through just a couple of those things. We're going to share what kind of just a reminder going back to year one, what is the mission, what is the vision, what are we trying to accomplish this year so that we can reach the vision that we've set out for ourselves. Then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty that I'm sure most of you are here for, and that's just learning about what is the program going to look like this year, what are the details for each of the teams that your daughters are trying out for. And then we're going to jump into tryout expectations, so what to expect over the next 4 days. We are also going to talk through some financial assistance options, which is kind of new this year. And then we put together, I think, a pretty extensive list of FAQs that have either come from parents who have sent in questions or have been asking us questions over the last couple weeks, and then just a couple that we thought might pop up. So for those of you who are new, who are we? The Arizona Kachinas is the exclusive girls hockey association in the state of Arizona, and it's the only program, despite popular belief, it's actually the only program that's operated by the Arizona Coyotes. We are predominantly female-led and have just a variety of awesome women and people, men as well, involved in the program, making sure that everything ticks, and we're offering the best possible experience and opportunities for your daughters that we possibly can. Kind of building off of that, our mission is we're here to create opportunity. We want every girl, whether they are 6 years old or 19-year-olds, whether they started when they were barely walking or whether they started later when they were a teenager. We want to do everything we can to create opportunities for girls in Arizona to play at their appropriate age and skill level, so that they fall in love with this game. That's what we're ultimately trying to do. Our values, they haven't changed since day one. Obviously some days we have to continue to align back to these values, whether that be us from a staff standpoint, parents, players, coaches, but this is ultimately what we're striving to do each and every day. So for those of you who have been part of the program since day one, first of all, thank you for being with us since day one. And we're excited to have everybody back this year going into year 3. So we passed this out 2 years ago. This was kind of the original vision, everything that we wanted to accomplish kind of over a 5-year span when we started this program. The cool thing is we've accomplished a lot of it. I think that's something that's really exciting to go back and check some of these boxes. But what I really want to focus on for this call, just to kind of clearly communicate what this upcoming season is going to be all about, is this section here where there's the star. So we've gotten a lot of questions, comments, concerns, pushback, feedback, all of it related to some of the branding and naming of the different teams in the elite program. We'll get to it as we go through this. We are going to rebrand a couple things. So what you've seen as team names on social media or assumptions you may have, we're going to hopefully debunk all of those. But we are trying to stretch. We are trying to get our girls to be the best that they can possibly be, and that is at all levels. And so, I think one of the big things that happened last year was, we applied for a tier 1 status. We were denied that tier 1 status, which is totally fine. So we're still a tier 2 organization. Basically, the difference between those two is, one is considered tier 1 is traditionally thought of as AAA. Tier 2 is traditionally thought of as AA. The key distinction, though, is that tier is a USA Hockey sanction. So a tier 2 team can compete at AAA tournaments. They could technically compete at A tournaments, AA tournaments. So you really can kind of compete at any level tournament that you want, with the exception being that only tier teams get to go to the tier USA Hockey district and national championships. So we'll dig into that a little bit more, but we had one team go to the national championship this year for tier 2, which was awesome. We want teams getting into that national championship game at tier 2. So that's one of the reasons why coming up on year 3 with the vision that we've set, we are going to kind of push and try to stretch our teams a little bit and help get them to that next level. And then hopefully next year in year 4, which is what we originally had set out, by kind of doing some of this stretching, we'll be able to get that tier 1 status next year for the teams that it's appropriate for. So that's where we're trying to go. That's why we made some of the decisions this year to do things the way that we're doing them. And hopefully that provides a little bit of clarity as we get going. So as far as what we're trying to accomplish this year, so obviously we want to make sure that everybody is having fun, everybody feels safe, and we're just creating a positive experience and an opportunity for these girls to develop. I think one of our biggest criticisms has been keeping things pretty tight to the chest. We're definitely going to get members, meaning parents, more involved. We want to create some opportunities for parents to volunteer, get more involved, and help us, grow and develop and get better. We want to continue to develop our coaches. I know there have been a lot of questions about coaching decisions for this upcoming year. The reality is we are trying to consistently develop more coaches, get more coaches to want to coach in the girls' side of things. So that's going to be a big key this year, is making sure that we are continuing to develop our pipeline so that the coaches we do have are getting better, and we can continue to get good coaches around the valley to want to come and be a part of the association. As far as the stretch component that we talked about, we're going to do a little bit of a hybrid year. So we'll get to that in detail in a bit. I know that's a question everybody has. So, we're going to have some of our upper level teams playing some AAA games, playing some AAA tournaments, but also playing at the AA level. Our second level team, they're going to be doing some AA tournaments. They're going to do some A games and tournaments. So we're going to walk through all of that, but it is going to be a bit of a hybrid. We had one tier 2 team win this year. We want to have a couple different age groups win. And then we'd obviously love, like I said in the vision section, to have at least one tier 2 team advance to the national championship game. As far as our leadership, for those who are new or those who are part of it and maybe don't know, so we have a board of directors. Some members are voting, some are non-voting. It really is kind of a unique situation compared to other associations you maybe have been part of, in that we are under the Arizona Coyotes Foundation. So that means that our board is kind of a subcommittee, if you will, of the Arizona Coyotes Foundation. But just so you kind of can put some faces to names, we'll get everybody's picture in here eventually. This is more our, that should say, operations directors. So Matt Schott, our wonderful hockey director. Aaron Kane heads up our director for hockey development. Sheridan Gloyd is going to come on and help out Matt this year, so assisting him with some of the hockey director roles and responsibilities, primarily for the elite program. And then I think the other big add is we have Hiroki coming on from a goaltending standpoint. He's going to oversee the goaltending coaching and is obviously going to be really involved on ice himself, coaching the girls. So why should we join? I'm going to kind of breeze through this because obviously if you're trying out, you want to be here, but we want to make sure that these girls have a place to play competitively against girls. A lot of people have been asking about the AZYHL, if they're going to be playing in boys divisions. We will get to that. But ultimately what we're trying to do is allow girls to play with girls and against girls. So we want to provide that so that the girls are able to do what they want to do, playing for a girls program. We want to be competitively priced. I think that we are. We'll get to the fees obviously in a little bit. And we want to provide, everything that other associations have and a little bit more. So goalie coaching, we may or may not have power skating sessions this year. It's going to depend a little bit on ice time and how that's going to flow. And then obviously our off ice coaching. We'll send this out, so I'm going to kind of go through this quickly, but for any of you who are maybe coming just to try out this year, your daughter's always played boys hockey, you're just trying to see if, what is girls hockey all about? These are some of the reasons that we exist. We want girls to be able to be safe. We want them to get recruited to go and play in college if they choose to. We want them to have fun in kind of that safe female environment. And we want to help you understand the nuances of girls versus boys hockey, because at the end of the day, if your daughter does want to play after youth hockey, it is a little bit different going into women's college hockey than men's college hockey, and this is a good way to kind of learn that. This is more for families who are coming up from the development program. So if you have played development, or your daughter, has played development over the last year or so, there are some pretty significant differences. So if you've been coming out to the elite skates this summer, that's awesome. I think it's a great way for your daughter to continue to develop and start to see kind of what that next level looks like. But this is just a nice way for you to see on one page what are kind of the stark differences between the two. Obviously, a lot more ice time at the elite level. A lot more travel at the elite level. There's off ice included at the elite level, and the price is a pretty significant shift at the elite level. So if you're a development parent, you're not really sure, you're kind of on the fence, this is going to be really important for you to review. Okay, so I am going to pass it over now to Ian Goldberg, who we have partnered with at the NHL level. We're kind of running a pilot. For those of you who were here last year, we integrated iSport 360 kind of halfway through the season or more toward the end of the season to track development of our players and our coaches. I think kicking it off fresh with the new season is going to be really successful. So with that, I'm going to have Ian himself explain what iSport 360 is, and I will get out of the way. Ian, all you.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Great to see such a great turnout for this webinar tonight. So my name's Ian Goldberg. If I was a hockey player, my nickname would be Goldie. I'm a sports dad living in New Jersey. I'm also a volunteer coach for my two daughters, and I've coached everything from soccer to basketball to flag football. I started this company, actually, I think I lost the slide, Lindsay. But anyway, so I started coaching for my two daughters, and one of the challenges I noticed as a coach was that I would be calling instructions out to the girls on the field, on the court, and there would be loads of parents on the other side yelling the complete opposite instructions. And that was really frustrating to me. But the funny thing was, when I was attending my daughter's games as a parent, I was actually the one who was yelling out, being loud from the sidelines and embarrassing my kids. And I just felt like maybe there's something we can do to help bridge the communication gap between coaches and the kids and parents. And that's why I launched iSport 360. So we did a lot of research in the world of education first. We wanted to understand how teachers and parents and kids work together to make sure that every kid has success. Lindsay, can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you very much. So we looked at the world, back one if you can. Great. So we looked at the world of education, and kids are the focus of everything that goes on in the classroom. Teachers and parents and kids, they're all collaborating, but it's all about the kids. And when you look at the world of youth sports and some of the technology that's being used, a lot of it was built for adults. It was built for the adults that run youth sports programs. It was built to make sure parents know when their kids' games are and where they need to be. And in a lot of ways, I feel like technology in youth sports has forgotten about the needs of the kids. And so when we launched iSport 360, the first thing we did was we did focus groups with kids to ask them, what can we do to help make your youth sports experience better? Next slide, please, Lindsay. Thank you. So we launched iSport 360. We've been beta testing it. We have about 20,000 registered beta testers. And then recently, the NHL really embraced what we were doing, and I was pretty thrilled. And then when Lindsay and the team at the Kachinas was interested in getting on board, again, I mean, this is such a quality program, so we are so proud to be joining with them. To give you a little bit about what iSport 360 is, because you're going to be invited to sign up for iSport 360 and set up your account. On this platform, you, your coaches, your kids can set goals at the beginning of the season that are based on your daughter's age, what level of play she's at. These are going to be very specific to the team she's playing on. Also on our platform, coaches and players can share feedback. They can share sticker rewards for positive reinforcement. The players can share sticker rewards with their teammates. Parents can share them. We also give you a centralized place where coaches can share practice drills and training videos with the kids. You know, historically, there's probably 5 different ways that coaches can do this: email, text, by phone, at the fields. But we wanted to give you one centralized place for all of this to happen. We also provide a player evaluation tool. So this is something on some of your teams, you may have seen this already. So coaches can complete player evaluations, but we also encourage the kids to do their own self-evaluations to let the coaches know how they think they're doing. Another feature is we have a virtual locker room. And the most important thing I want to point out about this virtual locker room is it was built for the kids. We want this to be a place where your daughters can feel safe and secure, chatting, sharing playlists, sharing TikTok videos with their teammates, whatever they want to do there. This is where they build their team culture, their team chemistry. It is a very safe and secure place because no outsiders can ever get into this virtual locker room. The only way that your daughters are even allowed to participate here is if you, the parents, give them explicit permission on our platform. So we are incredibly compliant with child privacy laws and the Safe Sport Act to prevent bullying, hazing, harassment, abuse. In addition, our platform is not just about athletic skills. We also are going to give the coaches and your daughters a foundation for building their life skills, their coachability, pushing them to be the best player they can on and off the ice. And again, compliant with COPA laws and Safe Sport. Next slide, please, Lindsay. The other thing, so you eventually, once your daughter is assigned to a roster, you are going to be receiving an invite to set up your account for iSport 360. Once you do that, we're going to ask you to give permission for your daughter to be on this platform, and then you can invite your daughter to be on here. So we are extremely careful and conservative about how we bring kids on the platform. That being said, if your daughter is 9 years old and has an iPad and you believe it's okay for her to be connecting with her teammates and with her coach, we encourage you to set up the account for her. The last point I will make is that one of the most rewarding parts of my job is putting out the iSport 360 newsletter. So we have about 140,000 sports parents and coaches subscribe to this newsletter. I like to call it a support group for sports parents and coaches. We share a lot of informative, funny, and empathetic articles. It could be about player hydration, better nutrition, how to manage your child's emotions on the drive home from their game. Lots of different topics, and I think you'll enjoy it. So we're going to send it to you once you set up your account. Actually, we would invite you to share any ideas, perspectives, or even articles that you've written that you'd like us to share in this newsletter. And so that's about it. Last 2 points I will make is if you have any questions, you can type them into the question area and I can address them here or even at the end of the presentation if we have some time. And finally, my email address is ian@isport360.com. So I look forward to getting to know all of you. I think you've chosen an amazing hockey program to be part of, and I'm glad to be part of it too.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian. And also thank you to those of you who last year did get on the platform, were engaging. I know the 16Us especially were on there using it. And so it's going to be nice to get everybody engaged and on there this year. All right, so with that, drum roll, talking about this upcoming season and our projected teams. So like I said, we heard the feedback, we heard all the concerns about, well, what's AA versus tier versus this versus that. So we are going to do a bit of a rebrand this year. So we are going to go, it's all the Kachinas Elite program. We're going to have a green team, a red team, and at 14U, we are expecting to have a black team. Green is going to be our highest level. Now, like I said, since we are trying to do this kind of, I keep calling it stretch, but that's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to stretch our kids, help them get to that next level. So the green teams are going to be doing a bit of a hybrid between AAA and AA. So what that means, the green team is going to be the only team at each age group that is tier 2 sanctioned with USA Hockey. So that means that they'll be the ones that will be eligible for the district tournament, kind of like our AA teams worked this previous season. They will play at the AA level, so the exact same thing they did this past year at the Western Girls Hockey League. That was a decision made by the board of the WGHL that they wanted to have our tier 2 team be the team that was in the league. So that's what we're going to do there from a AA perspective. And then for tournaments, we want the girls to have an opportunity, maybe not all, but to play definitely a couple AAA tournaments, see how they fare, and kind of get an idea of where we are at when it comes to that level. The red teams are going to be that second level within the elite program. So while they will be in a lot of ways considered more of a AA team, it will be a bit of an AA hybrid. And we'll get to the end, we'll kind of talk through why we can't have more than one tier 2 or team within the organization at a division. We tried to, and we're still working through some of these details, but we tried to get the red team into the WGHL as well. That was not voted through from the WGHL board level, but the WGHL has a partnership with the CGHL, and the C is going to scare some people. I don't want it to scare some people, but basically it's the Colorado Girls Hockey League. It used to be called the Mountain States Girls Hockey League, and it really was more of a model from a Rocky Mountain States standpoint. It was very similar to the WGHL for kind of that A borderline AA group. And so the CGHL is looking to expand this year. We're going to kind of partner it with the Western Girls Hockey League. And so for teams that have, or for associations that have non-tier teams that want to be competitive, that want to play against other girls in their region, that's what the plan is. The CGHL has not, this hasn't been, I don't want to say it hasn't been confirmed, like the leadership of the CWHL or CGHL is on board, excited about it, but we are one of the earliest states to have tryouts, so there isn't hard commitments yet from the CGHL, but we highly anticipate that that is where the red team is going to be playing. Again, we want that red team to feel like a AA team, get to compete at some AA events. So they're going to be playing most of their tournaments at AA, see how it goes, and we'll kind of adjust and adapt from there. That 14U black team, they would be the only team as of now projected to play in the AZYHL, which is the local boys league. They probably played down at a 12U division, kind of similar to what we've done in the past, and then they would play tournaments at an A or more of a more of like an A level. So I'm getting a lot of questions about who's going to play where, so I'm going to let Matt take it away, and we're going to walk through the details of every single team.
Yeah, so starting with the 19 green team, which will be our top and oldest team. They will be playing in the Western Girls Hockey League, which will include about 4 showcase weekends and a championship weekend, and then as well as three tournaments that we are finalizing right now. We're looking at different ones such as the NAHA tournament. There's a tournament that is in Minnesota. There's also the CCM showcases in Dallas, Detroit, Chicago that we are all looking at right now. This is the only team that right now is not scheduled to skate the majority of their time in Mesa. The reason for that, we had our ice sold, if you will. We had the rink owner take some ice time away from us, and with who the coach is, he was able to get us ice to secure up there, since ice is incredibly scarce in the valley. So he was able to get us the ice we needed. I want to be very, very adamant that it is not up there because of Jeremy Goltz. It is up there. Thanks to Jeremy Goltz. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the ice to be able to continue to grow our program because of a ice scarcity at Mesa. Their off ice will be 2 times a week, and Jeremy has also opened up his off ice area for that team as well up at the Peoria ice rink.
And Matt, there is a mistake on here. I'm sorry. It should say they will have 1 half ice slot at Mesa per week. So it's 3 full ice and a half ice slot per week for 19U green.
Yep. So yeah, 4 times again, 3 full, 1 half, just like last year. Next. The 16U green team, similar situation as the 19s, which will also be a similar situation with 14s, but their head coach, Brendan Shaw, Casey McGinley, and Kenzie Lyons will serve as the assistants this year. Same thing with the ice, 3 full, 1 shared per week. These will all be at the Mesa rink. They will be playing the WGHL, 4 showcase weekends and a championship weekend, as well as 3 tournaments that we have, again, pretty much figured out. A lot of the 16s, Brendan wants to go to the CCM tournaments, the 200 by 85 tournaments, which are very, very well run, well respected, and scouted tournaments. So, and then the district tournament and off ice again 2 times a week with Rob, which we are currently just like the off ice. Rob is currently looking for a warehouse near Mesa so that we can have a bit more room and better access to equipment. That is a process that we're working on, but it will be with Rob again, and he's excited. He's going to up it up. He's going to include weight training and then provide at-home stuff as well. So. The 16 red, they're the second 16U team, which is a huge huge thing for our program to have a second 16U level team. They are, as Lindsay had mentioned, we're finalizing to get them in the Colorado Girls Hockey League. Again, 4 showcases, 1 championship weekend. And then they're getting 2 shared and 2 full on-ice slots per week. They will usually share with the 14 red team. Jess Conlon and myself will be co-head coaching this. Gina Galtieri, Tara Wasser, and Eric Rodarty will help as well. I'll get to that. I'll get to my involvement a little bit. It probably will be majority coached by Jess, but I will still be helping out with this team. But I'll get to that in a little bit. The 14U Elite Green, myself with Sheridan Gloyd and Taylor England, 3-1, Western Girls Hockey League. Same thing, 4 showcases, 3 tournaments, 1 district tournament. We do want to try and travel. I should have mentioned this. We do want to try and go to the similar tournaments, at least 1 or 2 as one giant association. There are options to do that at, San Jose has their big MLK tournament that hopefully is back up this year. But yeah, our goal is to try and travel all together with the other teams, and if the size or tournament timing fits. The 14U red team, coached by Aubrey Beskid and Alyssa Ayers and Mindy French. Again, they're similar to the 16 red. They're getting 2 shared ice slots per week, 1 full ice slot per week. And they're going to be playing in the CGHL with the same amount of showcases, 2 tournaments, and all their slots will be at the Coyotes Community Ice Center in Mesa as well. And then this year we will be able to add a third 14U based on the numbers at tryouts. We are still finalizing the head coach right now. That one kind of came up by surprise. We really didn't expect to have 3 teams. We're very excited to. We're happy. We're glad that we're growing that much. So we're trying to finalize the coaching staff with that one, but that'll be 2 shared, 1 full. They will play in the AZYHL. We will see how the talent folds out with this team, whether or not they'll be playing down at 12U or they'll be staying at the 14 level, just as the other past 2 years we've had the 14U team do. And they'll go to 2 tournaments as well that we've pretty much identified as good levels for them to play at. And then they'll have only on off ice just once a week. 12U Elite Green, Mindy French will be head coaching this team. We did have another assistant coach lined up that unfortunately, due to personal reasons, had to back out. We are trying to fulfill that spot, but we're very confident that Mindy can handle this. She's done a great job with the 12Us in the past 2 years. She's excited for round 3, whole new group of girls pretty much. She's done a fantastic job, so we're very confident in her ability to do this. But we are looking for a couple assistants to help her and help develop at that elite AAA level as well for that age, because it's a very important age to have that development at. 1 shared, 3 full. Working to finalize. It'll be a dialed back version of at the WGHL. It'll be one showcase, 1 championship. Again, we're looking to finalize. It might be 2, whatever it might be, but they will be playing in the Western Girls Hockey League. They will have 4 tournaments to go to. They are not a nationally bound or a tier program, so they do not have a district. 12U does not have a USA nationally bound recognized tier, and that's for boys and girls, so that is why they do not have a regional or national opportunity. They will get off ice 2 times a week as well, and then they will have a good grip of home and homes with the Ducks and the Sharks and a few other of the AAA elite teams from California.
Yeah, and I should mention that too. We have it budgeted to where like every team has the opportunity to host a couple of teams here and there for home and homes. We wanted to keep that in there in the event that, there was a team from California, wherever, that wanted to fly down and play our kids. So, it's not like these are the absolute only games that the kids are going to get. We have it budgeted for them to get a couple more in as well throughout the year.
And then our 12U Elite Red team, head coached by the one and only Zach Azumi. Along with Zach Savage will be the assistant. We are also looking for another assistant as well. We want to make sure that there is a female presence on that team. Even though the two of them do a fantastic job with the girls and are very well loved by the players, we are still looking for one more assistant coach for that group. 2 shared, 1 full. They will be playing in the CGHL, 4 showcase weekends and a championship weekend, as well as is it supposed to be 4 tournaments or is it supposed to be 3?
Yeah, sorry, that's not correct. I'll change that.
They'll dial back the tournaments a little bit, and then their off ice, I believe, will that still be 2 times?
Yep, there's just 2.
So yeah, very exciting to have the one team that we did promote, and we are still hoping. It's just right now with the tryouts, we don't appear to have the numbers. Is a 19U Red team. We don't right now have the numbers to put 2 19U teams together. There are enough players out there. It's just a matter of, that's a lot of them are going off to college. A lot of them graduated, whatever it may be. But we are still hopeful. It's just right now the numbers don't have it, which is why they're not included in this breakdown of teams.
All right. And that it's 2 tournaments for this 12U Red team. That's my mistake.
2 tournaments. So yeah, the way the tryouts are going to work, I sent out an email out to everybody earlier today, kind of like a breakdown of how tryouts are going to go. Day 1 is going to be all skill and drills, skating lanes, and then 6 stations, 5-6 minutes each. Each evaluator on the ice is going to have a clipboard with the opportunity to evaluate every player. We are going to make sure we have as many eyes on these players as possible so that we can make sure that we're making the right decision. All players will try out together at their age, at their birth year. One thing I do want to clarify, there was a bit of confusion with a handful of players that signed up for the wrong division. You are not allowed to play down an age level. We are not allowing players to move up an age level unless it's an emergency situation such as insufficient amount of, which is the only exception we will be making. But you are not allowed to play down an age level. So anyone that registered for the age level down from what they are eligible for, we moved you up. And if you don't feel comfortable or whatever it may be, just let us know and we will take care of that and work with you to find the right team. But like I said, the 12U 14-16s will have additional evaluators to help supporting the coach. Players will receive an email after the second tryout to let them know which tryout on the 3rd day to show up for. We do have 2 options, the green team and then the red or black teams will have the second one. I do want to be clear that just because you are there for the green does not mean you necessarily made the green. Just because you were there for red and black does not necessarily mean you are not potentially able to make the green team. All coaches will be there for both sessions. Just a way to maybe separate and see where some stand and some don't. But we again, like I said, we are trying to get as many eyes, including the current coaches of the program and outside unbiased opinions to help us make sure that we are selecting this. And that's something moving forward we'll be able to utilize Ian's iSport 360 very, very well for and make sure that we're incorporating it into tryouts moving forward after this season. Day 2 is all scrimmage based. Day 3, same thing, full scrimmage, except it'll obviously be lesser numbers. And yeah, go from there. After day 3, the coaches will inform the players. They'll make a phone call and call all of their players to let them know what team they made. That they made their team. Obviously, the green coaches will call the green players, red the red, black the black, and then you'll get an email from Jen Triant, who will help you get the form signed and everything like that. That was all in the tryout email as well, but that'll come after day 3. It's not something you need to worry about until at least Monday. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns about that, you can meet or schedule a meeting or email the coach to discuss that. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns, you can be sent to Steph Streeter. That's her email. We'll send that out, and those concerns will come to the board of directors, and we'll discuss that. After your players made a team, you'll have 2 forms you need to fill out by the 21st. Those will be sent by Jen Triant. And then any other payment related questions, you can contact Christina, and any hard copies of the player parent contracts need to be signed prior to the start of the season.
And I should also add, I didn't do a good job with this, Matt, but Christina, who many of you have seen around the rink, taking pictures, posting pictures, doing all of our amazing social media work for the Kachinas. She sends all of the newsletters, all those good things. Has been hired full-time by the Coyotes, and part of her role is the Director of Business Operations for the Kachinas. So congratulations to Christina, first of all, for that. If you see her at the rink, make sure to congratulate her. But she will be your one-stop shop for anything sport engine, payments, all those types of things this season.
And then real quick, just a quick update. The reason all your questions are going to other people besides me is next week, about Thursday, I have to go off the grid for a while. I'm having a pretty major surgery and some radiation treatment to take care of some illnesses. That'll put me out for about 6 weeks or more. So unfortunately, Lindsay has told me I'm not allowed to work while I am recovering. So that's why your questions will be directed to other people. But I will try and get as many questions answered as possible before I leave, but understand that I'm not ignoring, I'm not hiding, I am recovering, and I appreciate your guys' support with that.
Emphasis on not allowed to work while recovering. One question that we're getting, Matt, is related to the 12U. So it's 12U gets 12U green gets 4 tournaments, and then for the WGHL, it's a showcase and a championship. So it's 2 showcases for the WGHL. There's a good chance that it will end up being, or I should say, 1 showcase and a championship for the WGHL. It will likely end up being 2 showcase weekends for WGHL and a championship, so 7 total weekends. There's a lot of concern in the chat right now related to game count. We will go back and review that, but I think the big thing is there are some girls who feel totally comfortable playing against the boys. There are girls that don't feel as comfortable playing against the boys, and so as a girls association, we felt it was important for the girls to have the opportunity to play against other high level girls throughout the country so that they can get a better understanding of what that's like. But all good questions, and we can continue to answer those throughout the weekend, but just want to clarify a couple of those things.
Yeah, and I also, just because we're not playing in the AZYHL does not mean that we are not allowed to play or set up scrimmages with boys teams, co-ed teams. Like Lindsay said, some like it, some don't. The way that the parity is split in the AZYHL, there's always 1 or 2 teams that are just that much better, and it's not as much fun to play against them. So this doesn't force us to play those higher level teams that refuse to go into higher level divisions. So yeah, that does not mean we're restricting the ability to play boys or co-ed teams. We are just limiting it to make sure it's the proper fit and the proper skill range for the girls that we're playing.
Another question is any consideration for a 12U black team? Excuse me. Right now, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have the numbers currently for 3 12U teams. We also ran into the issue of not wanting to dilute our development program. But Matt, you can
No,
add some color.
yeah. If we get a ton more that try out and it doesn't deplete our development program, yeah, maybe. But right now we're not at those numbers right now to be able to do that with the minimum roster number we need.
Yep. Are all showcases out of town? No. So the plan for the WGHL and the CGHL is for every team to be part of an Arizona hosted weekend. So again, that's why I said don't get scared by the Colorado Girls Hockey League. That's just the name. But we would likely host a couple teams here. Those teams in cold places like to come to Arizona in December, January, February. So one of them would definitely be here. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of travel. Unfortunately, it's one of the challenges of being a girls association in a state where girls hockey is still growing. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of travel for sure. All right, we'll keep going. Couple of the questions, at least one of them coming in is related to financial assistance. So I will I'll jump in here and talk about this one. So in the past, we haven't had like a real solid financial aid or financial assistance program. With the addition of the Leighton Carlo Memorial Scholarship Fund, we are able to help offset some fees for families who are in need. It is a pretty, I don't want to say rigorous application process, but there is a lot that goes into it. You need to, provide how much assistance you think you're going to need, how many household dependents you have, and in that you're able to kind of say if you have 2 people or 2 daughters or 3 daughters or however many daughters in the program. So you'll be able to, that was a question that came up. So that will be in there. There's a brief essay to kind of outline your need, and then a letter of recommendation. We want this to be from someone like a teacher, a mentor, a church leader, whoever it is that can kind of speak on your daughter's character, and then a tax return. And in there it says, make sure you black out any personal identifying information. Applications for that will go out after tryouts. It may open before. We're just tweaking a couple things on the website, but the link is ready to go. There will be time to apply. So if you're kind of on the fence about it, you can go check out the application, see if you think it's going to be worth it for you and your family to apply. Those will be due by June 1st. The reason for that is by June 15th, everyone has to be committed to our team within the Arizona Amateur Hockey Association rules. And so we want to make sure that we give families enough time to review. So we'll get those applications in. The board of directors will review those applications and inform everybody how much they will be receiving if they are going to be receiving financial assistance. So they have time to make that decision prior to the 15th. Okay, so jumping into, we're getting some questions about the development program. We are meeting next week to finalize when the development evaluations are going to be. So some of the frequently asked questions, we're getting, are we allowing double rostered girls? I believe, Matt, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but last year the rule, if you will, was that was going to be a coach's decision for that particular team that your daughter's on. Is that still true, Matt?
Yeah, it's coach's coach's decision, and the biggest rule is they cannot be on 2 T1 tier nationally bound rosters. That only applies for 14, 16, and 19. But those are the only 2 rules: coach's call and cannot be on 2 nationally bound T1 rosters.
There's a quick one for Ian, and it's about iSport 360. And if someone's daughter already created an account last season, will they be able to have to create a new account for next season if they're on an elite team?
They never need to set up a new account. Once they have an account set up, any of their Kachinas rosters will show up there. In fact, even if your daughters play other sports with other clubs in other places, if those clubs use iSport 360, it will all show up in your daughter's single account and your single account.
Cool. Thank you, Ian. Okay, so some of the questions that we've been getting. So obviously there is a bit of a fee increase from last year to this year. There's a couple different reasons for that. One, things are just getting more expensive. Two, if you notice relative from last year to this year, most if not all are getting more ice time. And the way that we look at ice time is, there's ice touches, so how many times is your kid actually on the ice, and then there's the half ice versus full ice. So a lot more teams getting, ice touches, but also especially those green teams getting more full ice opportunities, which we think is really important, especially at those older levels, for them to be able to have those full ice team practices. The other reality is, as many of you know, we have been fortunate enough to be the beneficiaries of some grant money through the NHL and the NHLPA. So that money that we've used to subsidize, now that we have more girls coming, adding some teams, not only at the elite program, but also at the development program, that subsidy is now getting split across more kids, which means that each individual player is receiving a little bit less. There are a couple tournament fee increases, but I think the big one, especially for those 14, 16, 19 green teams, is that last year districts weren't in Arizona, last year districts were in Arizona. This year they're not, so it's a little bit more expensive sending coaches on the road for an out-of-state district tournament. So as far as what fees include, it's pretty much everything. So there's two types of fees that are baked into that final approximate cost, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So your association fees, this is what everybody is benefiting from, staff, admin stuff, specialty coaching. So that's your goalie coaching. Hiroki's going to be on the ice with every single team. I know goaltending coaching has been a challenge in years past. He is all in. He is our exclusive goalie coach, and he's going to be out there every single week with every team. Obviously, apparel, jerseys. We are doing some different jerseys this year, so that's some feedback we've heard and are going to be adjusting. Team fees, that's the stuff that your specific team is receiving. So that's kind of why we split them up into two separate groups, and then we build the subsidy around as far as which player receives what. The association fees, everybody gets the same amount taken off of their association fees through the subsidy, and then for the team fees, it's a 20% off percentage that each kid is receiving. As far as the fees, so if you noticed, it said approximate. So after tryouts, we want to make sure, first of all, most importantly, you're not overpaying. I think obviously last year was very unique given COVID and the challenges of having to refund money, credit money, all of that. It was just a really tricky thing. So we want to make sure that our prices are correct. Like I said, there's obviously some things that are a little out of our control as far as finding out CGHL, tightening up just a couple loose ends here and there that, again, unfortunately, having tryouts late is tough. But what you see or what you saw earlier in the presentation as far as prices, and you're going to get all access to all of this, that's really on the high end. So that's kind of the most that you would be paying. And so any changes would likely go down a little bit, if anything. But what you're going to do after you register, after your daughter makes a team, is you'll have to fill out that AHA form, and then you'll also do a $500 deposit. I'm trying to make it as painless as possible. I know going through Sport Engine can be a pain when you have to enter every little piece of information over and over. So you'll probably have to do a $500 deposit, and then we'll likely, once we have everything totally solidified for prices, we'll have to send out an additional registration that will be your recurring payments for the year with that final price. And I'm going to try, like I said, to make sure you don't have to fill out t-shirt size medical information more than once. So trying to make it as seamless as possible without overcharging anybody. Goalie coaching, like I said, Hiroki is our main man. He's going to be out twice a week with each team, working with every goalie. We are still going to have access to Tony. He's going to come out and help. He's especially going to help with some of the younger teams, kind of make that his focus. Season start, so we're going to roll in pretty early, get a couple practices in before Labor Day. Like Matt said, we may try to go to that Naha tournament, which typically is over that Labor Day weekend. So we want to make sure the kids are skating and getting comfortable with each other. As far as travel, so I know that this is a hot topic. We had a pretty lengthy discussion with the board of directors as well as with the Arizona Coyotes Foundation, some of the board members, and we're just not there yet, feeling comfortable doing association organized team travel. So sending kids off on a plane with a couple chaperones and their coaches and doing shared rooms, shared bus, shared meals, all that stuff. Unfortunately, we're just not there yet and comfortable with that yet as an association. So it will be the same as previous years, where each family is going to be responsible for their own daughter's travel. COVID-19, one of the biggest challenges of the previous season. Obviously, there was some big announcements going out today. We are actively working with our different advisors, legal, all of the different pieces and people that play a part in this to get our new policy up and running. And so we will have that ready to go definitely by the start of the season. Likely we will have something changed or adjusted prior to the start of the season as an association. Last year we had everybody get new gloves and bags. This year, if your gloves still fit, your bag is good, you don't need to get that. Other associations, you can keep your old jerseys and use those again. Like I said earlier, we're upgrading our game jerseys from the fully sublimated jersey to kind of a sharper game jersey with some stitched on logos, numbers, those types of things. So that's already baked into your fees. And that process will be a little bit more clear after trial. It's exactly how, if you are new to the association, exactly how you purchase those items that you need extra, like the bags and the gloves. So we got some questions about bullying and if we're going to do more to kind of educate players, coaches on how to avoid bullying, how to handle it, things like that. Obviously, it's something that we want to take very seriously as an organization. We're working with other youth organizations. We're working with USA Hockey, just really trying to better understand how to handle things as an association, how to educate our players, how to educate our staff. We are looking to form a player safety committee this season, and this is something that would fall into that committee scope to help us address better. So if there are more players trying out than there are roster spots, you know, last year we tried to do something a little different, having, you know, some taking rosters that were bigger than they were allowed to be for the second half of the year and kind of rotating some players in. If, as you saw, the highest ideal roster and the way that we've built the budget is around 17 players for those green teams, and then 16 at the other levels, and I believe the 12U green team. That's kind of the sweet spot. That doesn't mean that a coach can't take 20. So a coach is able to take 20 if they feel like it's going to best suit their team. If for whatever reason a player is displaced because of this, we are going to do everything we can to help properly serve their development. And we're going to work individually with that player and that family to figure out how we can best do that as an organization within our capability. Why is 12 green almost as expensive as the other green teams who travel more? So the other teams, obviously, because, or those older teams, 14, 16, 19, because they're on the road more, they're losing a lot of their practice time on the weekend. They actually lose 3 practices a week when they're traveling. 12U green is traveling less, so they have more practice time that is accounted for in the budget. Like I said earlier, we wish every team could play in the Western Girls Hockey League. Eventually, hopefully we will, but the board for the WGHL really wanted to keep it more of a tier 2 league. There are some teams in it who are not tier 2, but they are the only AA team in some cases in their entire state. So those are the teams that it's the exceptions being made for a little bit. Why aren't the red teams playing in the AZYHL? Again, based on feedback, based on different conversations that we've had. Again, obviously we want to please everybody. We're not going to. Everybody's got slightly different opinions. As a girls association, we felt that it would be a better fit for them to be playing against competitive girls rather than playing against the boys, and it kind of being a question mark about whether or not the skill level would align. Unfortunately, as Matt said, there have been some challenges working with the owner of the Mesa rink. A little bit of a misconception, we don't own Mesa. I wish we did. We own the naming rights to Mesa, and so we are not going to be able to have our elite skills sessions this year, but we are hopeful that we can on occasion use some ice that maybe pops up here and there to host some skill sessions, get some good skill coaches out, and make sure those girls have an opportunity to learn. Do players have to be Arizona residents in order to play for the Kachinas? So I think there's a misconception or a rumor going on right now that we're bringing in a bunch of out-of-state players. Where we have, I think, 1 registered for tryouts. And in that situation, it's not like we can just take them. There are rules around that where they have to get waivers. It has to get approved by our USA Hockey affiliate. It's not as easy to bring in a bunch of out-of-state players in as people may think. So that's not really our strategy. That's not what we're trying to do. And I think, yeah, it's not something that's set up right now with the kids that are registered for tryouts. There have been some questions about, well, why not just have 2 tier 2 teams at 14U or 16U? We're not allowed to do that. So you can only have 1 tier 2 team within each division in a single organization. The next question that comes with that for some people is why can't there be more than 1 tier 2 association in Arizona? Right now, the way that the policies are written in AHA is there can only be 1 tier 2 organization in Arizona for girls at this point in time. I'm getting a lot of questions. So one of the questions is, why is 16s, 19s the same fee? So that's a typo. The 16s do have the same amount of ice, or the 19s have the same amount of ice as the 16s. That I will update that before we send this out. They'll have 3 practices at Peoria, and they'll have 1 half ice at Mesa per week. So 16s and 19s are the exact same from a practice time. The CGHL, what happens if the CGHL doesn't have enough teams to make a league? Is that a possibility? No, that's not a possibility. So that is like every girls team in Colorado is forced to play in that league. So some divisions have 8 teams, some of them have 13 teams. And then once it expands to where New Mexico, Wyoming, potentially Utah, some of these other regional teams, including us, join it, they'll have more than enough teams for us to be able to play in that league. Off ice, will that be on the same day or on a off day for ice? So I think the question is, will 19s or any team, will their off ice be the same day as their on ice? We're still working with Rob to figure all that out. Matt, I don't know if you want to provide a little more on
And
that
that's the
one.
plan. Yeah, that's the goal. As long as it can fit, as long as it can time out properly, especially if we find that new warehouse. I know there's other associations that don't have an on-site gym, so they have to either go on another day, but we are going to try and make it as easily accessible for everybody and make it as easy as possible. So if we can make it work all in one day, then we'll do that.
Yep. Is there no longer a parent development director and a parent elite director on the board? So we had to do a little bit of restructuring last year, given the way that the new ownership group kind of was handling the foundation with the Coyotes. So we shuffled a little bit. So there still are development directors, elite directors. We are doing kind of a whole, I don't want to say overhaul of our policies, but there are definitely some things that are no longer relevant given the way that we are set up under the foundation. So one of the things that will be changing in that is originally it was written to where if a parent director was voted in a second term, then they would become a voting director. That likely won't be the case any longer. However, we are still going to have parent directors. We're actually going to have more, likely one for green, red, and black and goaltenders. I think it might be red and black actually. Yeah, so we'll announce all that information. But yes, good question. We want parent representation. We want that feedback. And more information will be coming out about that soon. And by the way, I mean, this is a lot of information for a pre-tryout meeting, but we wanted to answer as much as we could. We'll be doing another one of these after tryouts are done, everybody's settled, has their paperwork in, and really kind of drill down into the specifics on all of that kind of stuff. So good question though. 17 players on the roster include goalies. Yes, it does. So that's in theory 9 forwards, 60 and 2 goalies. Is that 17? Again, like I said, I mean, that 17 isn't a hard number. It's the ideal number. But if a coach feels that they want to take an extra skater or two for injuries, whatever, then they're allowed to do that up to 20. But that's not the goal. Goal is around 17.
There's one more question about tryouts being closed. Is there a way to register now or what? Because tryouts closed last night at 5.
Yeah, if anyone still needs to register, just email me and I'll make sure their information gets on the list, and we'll take care of payment tomorrow with our Square app.
Anything else? It's a lot of information. Hopefully it answered a lot of your questions, reduced some nerves or concerns. Some of your questions we really appreciate, just to make sure that we're all kind of headed in the same direction. I think the only other thing that I would say is we obviously wanted to make sure that we got this information to you. There was just a lot of this information that we were still waiting on. So it's not that we wanted to keep anybody in the dark. We're going to continue to increase our communication, especially now that we've got Christina on our side to keep sending stuff out to you all. But we wanted to make sure we had as much information as possible before jumping on a call with everybody. So if there's no other questions, then I think we are good, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Let me stop this. Are you guys able to see me anymore?
Can't see your screen anymore.
Can you see each other?
I can see you and I can see Ian. We just can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I see everybody kind of logging off. Appreciate it. And we will see everybody this weekend.
Bye, guys.
All
Thanks
right, bye,
again.
Matt.